Guys, what's up? You're here with Coach, Skeeter, and Tmac. Today we got another top 10 for you guys. Tmac's gonna run it, so I'm gonna let it all over to him. And yeah, let's hear it. What do you got for us, T?
All right, yeah. So we're basically gonna run back kind of what we did the first time. I think you guys liked it, with just a different concept, right? So John had mentioned earlier, he had broke the news that Claude Lemieux passed away.
Rest in peace, Claude. I hated you.
Yeah,
but
turtle.
I also respected you.
He was the turtle, but unfortunately, that's no matter what, you don't want to see something like that.
For sure.
He was the turtle. He was the turtle for sure. But I think John mentioned a good point. It got me thinking because he was like, obviously it's a sad thing, and it's somebody from the past who you grew up watching play, hated them, but at the same time kind of respected them. You respected the rivalry and the BS that they brought to the game against us in Detroit. So I figured I'd put together a little blind ranking again of maybe some sports players that we all hated as Detroit sports fans.
I would say, is this going to be specifically for Detroit type stuff?
Specifically for like a Detroit, think of a Detroit sports edition. So you might hate
you guys watching me and Skeeter have no idea what he's putting on us. This is all brand new to us. We have no clue.
I just got out of the shower and they said, "Hey, we're going to shoot this." So
yep. So
a 6-minute shower specifically.
6-minute shower.
That's a whole.
It was actually too long. It was too long.
That's a whole other story. Let's keep it going.
So, but yes, this will be Detroit sports. Every city has people that are like, man, I hate that guy. There's probably other cities that hate people that we loved watching play growing up in any sport. Now, mind you, I myself, when compiling this list and like looking at some of these players, I maybe was a little bit not biased trying to like put it together in my head where I would rank people. But mind you, I did not really watch hockey until like 4 years ago.
Ooh.
Like actually watch hockey.
Ooh.
I'm not saying that
years, brother.
That's what I'm saying. So like Claude, I know he's the turtle. I've seen the clip many of times, but I did not live that moment, right?
You know what though? This is gonna be tough because all right, just go with the list. I'll have to talk about it during.
Let me go ahead and
I already got some things brewing in my head, man.
I got a couple things brewing in my head too. I'm hoping some people show up on there. And this is blind ranking, right? This is
another blind ranking.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let me see if I can share this here.
I bet you there's going to be people on here or people not on here that I'm just like, well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious.
How far back are you going?
Ooh, Detroit's
so I'll say like these aren't going to be people like your grandfather grew up watching. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to be talking about like some crazy, like something from the 60s. Who was Gordie Howe's rival? No, we're not doing nothing like that. Okay. But so for anybody who hasn't done one of these before, it's just something I kind of like personally. So essentially what you're going to do, you're going to see them pop up on the screen one by one, and you'll place them in your list of 10. Number 1 being your most hated villain, sports villain, basically, to 10 being, you know what, I didn't really actually mind them too much.
Now, is this somebody we would hate to be in Detroit or just hate them?
No. This is like somebody you hated watching growing up or whatever. Even some of them might be recent. You know what I'm saying? You're like, man, I fucking hate when we play that dude. I hate when we play him, man. I can't stand him.
Brunson. Got
it. Right. Exactly. See,
got it.
Stuff like that. He's not on the list, by the way. But this is honorable mention because this was the reason that I put it together.
We have a moment of silence.
We could do a moment of silence for Claude. Moment over. But yeah, obviously the turtle, infamous hit on Chris Draper. John could probably tell you all about that. Sparked a legendary rivalry.
If I could have just a moment to speak about Claude Lemieux, there was for people if they did not know, back in the 90s, he was a fantastic player. He originally played for New Jersey, then he went to the Avalanche, bounced around a couple more times after that, but he was a great player. He was one of those guys. I don't remember which one mentioned it, but like you hated playing against him, but you could recognize the skill. He was a leader. He was the tough guy. He could score goals. And it all started with a bad hit on Chris Draper in the 96 playoffs, going into the infamous Dino Ciccarelli quote after the game. Look that up if you've never seen it. It's pretty good. And then the next year on March 26, 1997, before the Wings won their first cup in 42 years, there was a little bit of retribution, if you will, by Darren McCarty and some other guys on the team. If you've never watched that fight, it is the turning point of Detroit Red Wings hockey. and he essentially inspired the Red Wings to be a better team, to be more of a team, through a dirty play, of course. But over the years, you could see, you know, there was other fights that he got in with the Wings, things like that, but you always recognize the game as well. So there was always almost a mutual respect. And I saw Darren McCarty tweet out today about how, you know, how upset he was about hearing about his passing, because for as bad of a guy he was on the ice, he was a good man offside it. So, you know, Claude Lemieux was a big part of my life growing up. So sad to see him go. But I digress.
Oh, it's great points. Great points, obviously. Again, you can respect him off the ice as a human being. On the ice, obviously, we hated him growing up as Detroit sports fans. But again, respect him off the ice. So we're going to go ahead and kick into it here. Just piece of advice, if anybody does play along. If you don't know somebody, probably put them lower. You know, I wouldn't necessarily throw somebody like 5 and above that I don't know.
Good advice.
Sport for thought. So,
Good
all right,
advice.
we'll kick into it. Our first athlete on the list of hated by Detroit sports fans, Nelson Cruz.
Oh man,
Now, this is a tricky one because me personally,
you probably hated his shit.
I didn't really have like a profound problem with Nelson, but he smoked us, man. He always did some stupid shit, hitting home runs against us. As you can see on the screen there, 2011 ALCS, 6 home runs in the series against us. Like, that's absolutely
insane.
ridiculous. Like, and those were teams where we had World Series hopes. So Nelson Cruz kicks off.
2011 arguably had one of the best pitching rotations in the history of baseball.
Man,
Oh,
don't
my God.
even start.
Yeah, well,
bro.
we won't get deep into it. That may be a topic for another day.
4 Cy Young winners.
Should have been 5.
Should have
But-
been 5. All right. Let's kick it into number 2. Ron Artest. Obviously infamous for the Malice at the Palace brawl. They might not even have been Detroit sports fans, just might have been there and got their ass beat by Ron Artest, and that's why they hate him. But Ron Artest, I think, is hated by a lot of Detroit sports fans throughout history.
The issue is his career went on so much further than that time that it progressively was just like, whatever. But if you'd have asked me this in like 2007, shit.
Mm-hmm. Number 3. Patrick Roy.
Wow.
This one, yeah, it's wow, bro. Come on now. This one kills me, man.
Met center ice, I believe, with Osgood. Is that right, John?
That was like 3/4 down.
3/4 maybe?
They were pretty much in center ice.
Bloodbath on the ice.
Three consecutive years he either got into a fight with a Red Wings goaltender or an attempted fight. We won't talk about the Hasek
The
incident.
Hasek,
but,
well, that wasn't a consecutive year, but that was in like 2002 or whatever. And
no,
Hasek
it's 2000. Yeah.
Was it 2000?
Missed it by 1 year, yeah. It was 97. It was 97, 98, and 2000 because he got traded in 2000 to the Wings because that was my
All I know is
traded on my birthday.
Hasek hit that stick and went flying.
Hasek would have got murdered.
100% he would have got murdered. Bro, Hasek as thin as my entire arm, bro.
Yep.
Still one of the greatest, though, if not the greatest.
All right. I knew that one would hit home, especially for John. Let's kick it into our next athlete. Aaron Rodgers. Hated by all Detroit Lions fans.
And
honestly hated by most of the league nowadays.
Crazy didn't even come to my brain, but I won't denote where I ranked him.
I think this is one where now the fuel isn't burning as hot.
No. I'm mad at you because now I'm just having flashbacks. I'm just visualizing Hail Mary here. This bullshit face mask here. I hate you. I actually hate you.
When did he take over as QB? Maybe
I don't want to know.
07?
No, I think he was drafted in 07. I think he took over in 09.
09. Let's say he took over in 09. I mean, it was belt to ass to the Lions for
All right, man.
over a decade.
Damn.
Over a
down.
decade.
Jeez.
Twice a year.
Why do you have to say that?
Holidays.
Hey, on to the next guy.
On to the next. AJ
Pierzynski. Boy, he was
Pierzynski.
annoying as hell.
Now, obviously, division rival. He was on the White Sox for a long time. As you can see in the description here, a punchable face.
Yeah, he
I
went
actually,
to TNA, didn't he?
I actually found him on a
Did
list
something.
of there's a list, and I can't remember which site it was, but it was the like top 25 most hated MLB players of all time, and he was on that list.
John, please check that for me. Please see if AJ Pierzynski did a stint in TNA.
Can we get a quick fact check on the TNA?
Yep.
You think he went to TNA, huh? After or during his playing time in the MLB?
I'm not sure.
Because I don't remember when he retired, but I think he's
He
in
had a
the booth now.
crossover stint with TNA in 2005.
Called
Capitalizing on his World Series win, he appeared on
Yep.
TNA television to present
I knew
memorabilia
it,
to
bro.
wrestlers. That led to
You're
a
right.
brief
I knew
fan
it.
favorite run-in as the manager of the Turning Point pay-per-view against the Diamonds in the Rough.
I knew
You're
it.
right. I do actually remember seeing that clip now. I can remember it in my head.
Clip. I'm fairly confident I watched
AJ
it live.
Pierzynski. Yeah, and I wouldn't even say he like tortured the Tigers or anything. I think just because he was around for so long, he's just a
And
douche.
look at him. Yeah, just look at him.
Yeah.
He's a douche.
All right, moving on to our next athlete.
Oh my god,
Big
the
shot,
corner. No,
Bob.
the shot, bro. Not the shot.
Big shot, Bob.
Oh, the shot.
Robert Ory. And again, this is a tough one because he played in the he played for a few teams, but predominantly what he did to the Pistons, we're talking about one series.
Not even one series.
Not even one series, one game,
Bro,
one
I know
shot.
exactly where I was when I was at Premier Lanes bowling, and I broke my phone in half when he hit that shot.
Wow.
This man, because it played such a predominant role in the Pistons not going back to back in 04 and then in 05.
God, man.
You know what I'm saying? Anyways, on to our next athlete. Anderson Varejao.
This
This is again an interesting one because he wasn't a good player,
but he was
but
annoying.
the flopping,
though. It's
the annoyance. It's the same concept as Pierzynski. It's the
Literally,
annoyance,
yeah,
man. Him with
for
those
sure.
LeBron teams in the mid 2000s against the Pistons. Man,
The ultimate pest. It says it right there. The ultimate pest.
the ultimate pest. And that brings us to our next athlete, the man himself, LeBron James.
Man.
I don't even think I need to do any explaining for this. If you grew up in Detroit watching Pistons,
I've been to
in the
multiple
2000s.
games where I was and I was at a game where he scored like 18 in a row. And man, to listen to that fan, I don't to this day remember that fan talk shit to me. And I said, I can't even talk back. The dude just scored like 17 or 21 straight against us.
Can't deny the greatness, but man, was he annoying when he was with the Cavs. I was so glad when he went to the Heat. That was still annoying. I still hated him after he left the Cavs. I still hate him, but
It's 36 years later, and I still hate him.
all right, our next athlete, Eric
That's crazy.
Ebron.
That's crazy. He didn't even do anything else besides drop passes.
Did you see his? He did
Yes,
a podcast.
bro.
Yeah,
yes,
that
I've
was,
seen it.
I
That
just
was-
seen that. That's why I put that on.
I don't feel right about him talking about that stuff. It feels dirty and wrong.
I just and Ebron really, he didn't deserve the hate, but he was hated. A lot of Lions fans hate him. I feel like they hated more just that we drafted him so early. You know what I'm saying? It was the pick,
He began with a bad rep for sure.
but then the drops and
What did we
the
draft him at? Was it 10?
nonsense. I want to say it was.
Seven?
I want to say it's higher than 10.
Yeah,
I think
thought
it was
top
like
10.
I think it was like 6
numbers,
to 8,
solo. Yeah.
somewhere in there.
But I can't guarantee that. Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
But anyways, let me know how I'm doing. We got 2 more or 1 more?
One
One
more.
more.
This is it.
1 more. The final athlete.
10th overall.
All right. 10th overall, if that's the spot you have left.
Oh no, I'm
The
saying
final-
he got drafted 10th overall.
Oh, Ebron got drafted 10th overall. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was single digits. Oh, well. All right. The final athlete hated by Detroit sports fans. Sid the Kid. Sidney Crosby.
I actually think I have a perfect list.
Again, self-explanatory.
I don't.
Fuck them.
I can't wait to hear where you put Sid the Kid at.
I don't have a perfect list.
I know he put Sid the Kid real low. He had like 8 left.
He said 10th overall.
This is kind of a bummer.
If there's any consistency, if there's any consistency with these, just know Sid the Kid was last here. The last list that I made, prime spot was last. So just pay attention to that last spot.
Man, I just envisioned Ozzy not being able to stop that goal from going across, and I'm just
now before how do I actually stop sharing this?
Whoa, bro, you're showing too much. Whoa.
I have my tabs open.
Yeah, easy, bro, easy. I thought that site was banned.
Before we jump into it, so I had Liz kind of test run this, and I actually felt like she did quite well for her top, because she did have LeBron 1, Rodgers 2, Sid the Kid 3, and then it kind of is scrambled in the middle. But some of them you probably could put wherever, in my opinion. But I did like her top of the list there. I felt like she was holding out for that final spot, but she said she was holding out for Sid the Kid because she thought he'd be on the list, and he was. So I'm curious at where you guys had your rankings.
John, you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
I'll go first because mine's a jumbled mess now.
All right.
So at my number 10 spot, because this is before multiple other people, was AJ Pierzynski. Because I don't think of him as a Detroit killer. I don't think of him as a whatever. He was an annoyance, but I don't, whatever. No big deal. I didn't really care. Number 9, I have Nelson Cruz. When I was thinking about these, I know he was the first guy, but then I put him really low. I also was trying to think about longevity. And when you have a real hatred for someone, I wanted to look at the longevity of it versus just a one-off type thing. So yeah, Cruz killed us in that series. Of course, everyone remembers it. That's a Detroit fan thing with that. But, the rest of the time, he's an above average player. He's going to do above average things against you. Next 8, I have Robert Horry. Same deal.
I was about to say, let's see if he stays consistent with that.
Same
mindset.
Deal. Yeah. Robert Horry, he was a shooter. Like you said, I remember exactly where I was watching that game. I was at a buddy's house, and, he hits that shot and things can completely change from there. 7, Anderson Varejao. 8, I kind of got out of basketball a little bit at the time when that was kind of going on, so I didn't really know that much about him other than he had wild hair.
Yeah.
So I would have put him lower on the list, but whatever. Number 6, I have Eric Ebron because I would have put him at 10 because I don't hate the guy. I think that he was given a bad rap from day one, and I think that he had expectations that were so high being... if I'm not mistaken, and I would have to check this, he was the highest drafted tight end in like 10, 12 years or something like that at the time, coming out of North Carolina. There was high hopes and stuff, but you can't judge it on the fact that Aaron Donald got drafted after him. You can't judge it on those things. You can't,
but that's what people do, hindsight,
right,
bro. That's what
right.
it all is like that.
Right. And yeah, he had dropped passes, things that, it's a lot of pressure. These guys coming into the league, they're 19, 20, 21 years old, and you're putting the faith of a city behind you. It's a lot of pressure. So you're going to get some cracks in there once in a while.
My thing, just quick comment, my thing with that Aaron Donald thing too, and I know it said it on the screen, but all sports fans do that. However, you don't know how that player would have developed with your team under your football
system,
is
city,
maybe a little different, but
absolutely.
But something like, especially
Kyle
something
Van
like
Noy
baseball
is a perfect
or
example.
Exactly.
Kyle
you
Van
had
Noy
to have the
developed
right
like ass cheeks with us, and then ended up being a damn near all pro wherever.
And it happens
in
a lot.
Baltimore and New England.
Yep.
Number 5, unfortunately, was Sidney Crosby.
Wow.
And I actually, I'm not gonna lie, I actually think that that's actually a good spot now that I kind of think of it more with him, because don't get me wrong, I don't like Sidney Crosby, but I don't like him for the player that he is. I think that some things he did back in the day were cowardly and whatever. But he again, he was a 16-year-old kid that got exceptional status in the OHL or the WHL. He had a lot of pressure put on him, and he was good. Like that, you cannot.
I don't give a shit if he's good. This is the most hated list for Detroit.
I get it, but
don't make excuses about him being at 5.
If there was a reason the Wings lost that series, it wasn't solely because of Sidney Crosby. They lost him,
and that makes you hate him less.
No, but I'm just saying.
Okay, so if Evgeny Malkin was on this list, who would be higher, him or him?
Well, Cosby would be higher, but still. Anyways, moving on. Number 4 is Aaron Rodgers because whatever. I hate him obviously before all the freaking Hail Mary magic, terrible refereeing, things like that. But I also hate him for his off the field stuff too. So he just really seems like a person I wouldn't want to know personally. Number 3, LeBron. Again, I kind of got out of basketball for a few years there, so I didn't really pay that close of attention in the early 2010s. So I didn't hate him. I only hate him because of what he's done to the league now. I think that the NBA has become a much worse league since he has joined it. Absolutely. Due to the fact that he was the first one that said, hey, let me call my buddies up and let's all go to Miami and play there. That decision ESPN special they did when he was a free agent was one of the biggest crocs of crap I've ever seen in my entire life. And that started the progression of these supermax contracts for seventh men on the bench and things like that. Mozgov. So I think he had a bad influence on the league, and it just by being good and things like that, whatever. But again, he is probably one of the top 2 or 3 best players in the history of the game, and I can't deny that. But I do think that he damaged the league in the long run. For 2, I have Ron Artest. And again, this is also going with the longevity thing. Because yes, obviously the Malice in the Palace is the big volcano that erupted, but he was also a piece of crap going on for the rest of his years. You see, I don't know if it was Harden or who it was that he just elbowed him.
The shit out of Harden, yes.
He becomes meta world peace, which is weird. There's all those like little things like that he was just seemed like a thorn in your side, but doing it the wrong way. You can be a pest, but he was doing it wrong, at least in my eyes.
But not to Detroit, though.
Yeah. And number 1 is Patrick Waugh. There's no one other than possibly Claude Lemieux that was, for myself, hated more than Patrick Waugh. And a lot of it was jealousy. He was that good. Growing up in the 90s, he was Brodeur, Hasek, they were the epitome of goaltending. Patrick Waugh is one of the founding fathers of the butterfly style that we see goalies play today, where you go down. It used to be that you were standing in net and you just stood there and you kind of moved a little bit. Patrick Waugh realized, hey, if I go down in a butterfly and split my legs open, I'm able to block a lot more pucks. The fights and things like that, Vernon kicked his ass. Osberg got his ass kicked. That's all, whatever. But the guy was talented. The Wings were the ones that sent him from Montreal to Colorado in the first place because they scored, 9 goals on him in a game. And then he said, Montreal, peace. And then was traded the next day to the Colorado Avalanche. And then they went on the dynasty, then became the Wings and whatever. But, I also hate him because I think he's a terrible coach. The first time he got put in a coaching position, it was a joke. So he's still hated. I can recognize the greatness of him. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the probably top 5 goalies in the history of the game. But he is hated with my entire soul, with my entire body.
Fair enough. I do feel like John, I don't know, maybe your opinion would have changed if I said it was just Ron Artest, not Meta World Peace, like not that alter ego. But I also feel like you were doing a lot of digging. You were definitely taking the Detroit aspect of it to heart, but you were also going beyond that.
Right. I was simply Detroit.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Well, again, Ron Artest, like when you look back at the Malice in the Palace, and that was 2004, and you see that, and I was 17 at the time when that happened, and you're just like, you see someone run into the stands, and it's just this bigger than life event that you're witnessing in real time. Because I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings watching that game.
Insane.
And you're watching, and you just have this disbelief, and you're like, what is he doing? And it's blown up into this thing. So as a Detroit fan, sure, I hated the guy, but in general, the guy was just a bad dude. Like, he's just not a good dude.
Facts.
So anyways, my list, we differ a little bit. All right, so at 10 is where we're pretty similar, 7 through 10. 10, I have AJ. Same thing. I honestly don't think he was that hated. I think he was hated, but like for a very short amount of time. Douchebag, punchable face, killed us for a little bit, but then it was just like, whatever. If you remember AJ Przinsky, you remember AJ Przinsky.
A quick question, Steve, and I think that I might have had someone excuse me, a little bit different because I keep thinking of like David Ortiz. You know, he hits that grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was it, Kevin Euclid who fought Rick Porcello? You know, a couple of those guys over like a Pierzynski. Because I think Pierzynski was just annoying because we saw him 32 times a year or whatever.
Yeah, every other day.
So, So I'll say this: I was going back and forth for that specific slot, and there was a couple different baseball names that was thrown around. So I guess I could just spill them. Ortiz was one of them, but for me personally, I always actually fucked with Big Papi. I personally liked Big Papi.
I would rather have you put a Yankee. You give me a
Torrey
Yankee
Hunter flipping over the thing. Yeah, hated that moment.
I was gonna say you put a hated moment.
I hated that moment. That's 100%. That's in my top 5 of hated Tigers moments all time.
Look out for a future video, top 10 hated moments, and I guarantee you that bitch will be on there.
I had him potential, and then also the Panda Pablo Sandoval, who again, it was more just moments when he crushed us in the World Series.
What do you have? 3 home runs, bro?
Yeah, something crazy off JV too, I think.
Yeah, my God, that.
But Pierzynski, because of the longevity of him being in the division, how long he played, and him just being there. Again, I personally didn't really ever even hate him either. I thought he was a douche. Him, Joe Creedy, a bunch of those other guys. But anyways, I digress.
So, anyways, number 9, Varejao. Same thing. Didn't really hate him. For any specific reason. I think it was just flopper, hair, being on the Cavs. I hated the Cavs from that, 2 or 03, whatever, to like 07. And I'm talking everybody on that team. I'm talking about Boobie Gibson to, I think Darius Miles was on that team. I hated everybody on that team.
Everybody.
And that's just how it was. I don't care who you were on that team. I hated you because of LeBron James. And just because they were just killing us. We couldn't do anything at once he got drafted except for win a championship. So, we'll go back to that. Number 8, Big Shot Bob, Robert Horry. And he's only so low is because it's literally just one play. To me, it was just one play, but it was still, you have hatred in your heart for that one play. Number 7, Nelson Cruz. It was kind of debating, I thought I was going to put him a little bit higher, but then I was like, there's got to be more people to hate. And he did only have that one series. I mean, I'm sure he's torched us in a couple other games too, but that one series is what stood out. So I put him at 7. Ron Artest at 6. I probably could have moved him up higher, but I got a little nervous. And to me, again, I think because we're so far out and it's so lengthy, and although the impact was very, very big when I was a kid and it was crazy back then, and I think like John alluded to, okay, well, the Harden elbow. Well, to me, that didn't affect me at all. I was just like, damn, Harden just got his shit wrecked. But to me, as a Detroiter, it was like, all right, whatever. It's not a big deal. The fight at Malice at the Palace was crazy for us. Like, I'd never seen nothing. Jermaine O'Neal getting clocked in the face, and then him clocking the guy in the face. Like, that was insane. And Ron Artest obviously starting it all. But, he tells a story. He didn't know Ben's either dad or brother or somebody just passed. Like, the whole thing was crazy. Ron Artest, POS. But to me, it was like, that was it, right? That was it, that moment. And then obviously with all the Pacers rivalry for a little while, yeah. But after that, like, kind of, to me, disappeared in thin air. Number 5, Eric Ebron. He gradually moved up that list because of like 3 hours ago. Watching that podcast. John, you watched it earlier too. I think, Trev, you said you heard it too. Just, I don't even really care about drops or whatever. I genuinely hate more people who like talk shit after. And again, him speaking on like Megatron taught me this, Megatron taught me that, but we also did this. And like, I don't like if you and I did something, Skeeter, and then, we did it to privacy of your own home. And then I came out like 10 years later and said, yeah, we did this. He taught me this. And we did this without you saying like, it's cool for me to talk about it.
Talk about him to go to Vegas and stuff like that. Like, he flew me to Vegas real quick.
He picked me up in a Rari. I hated that. Cause like, when's the last time you heard Calvin talk about any of that? Never. He's never spoke about that ever.
He's basically spilling the beans on all this stuff that happened. And like you said, Calvin, I've never heard Calvin talk like that ever in any type of interview.
To ATL, bro. Or Vegas.
Never known.
Either one of them. Never. I would have never known.
You know now.
Yeah, you do. He's Calvin about to take one of them fingers that's crooked as hell. But I digress. 4, LBJ. And the only reason LeBron's at 4 is because I figured there would be somebody else that specifically some hockey players potentially. And I mean, LeBron is just not, you talk about longevity of hatred. People start bad and he literally got worse over the years, and for different reasons too. Like, we hated him as a player in Cleveland, and now we hate him as John, you kind of said it, as a model of the game. He just made the game worse. And I don't care what anybody says. The debate for the GOAT, it doesn't even matter. I don't like what he does for the game. Like, SGA right now is horrible for the game. Horrible for the game. Flopping left and right, bro. Just super unethical. So he was number 4 for me. This one hurts me to my core, and it hurts because I just grew up this way. But Patrick Waugh's at number 3 for me, and it sucks because I know it's crazy as a huge Detroit Red Wings fan growing up. He was my favorite goalie. I had his stick growing up, and that just like, it's one of those things like the Claude Lemieux thing. As a Red Wings fan, I was gifted a Patrick Waugh stick, and I was just like, okay, cool. Let me see who this guy is. I was like 7. This is my new favorite goalie. I hate the Colorado Avalanche. I hate everybody else. Peter Forsberg, don't care about you. Joe Sakic, hate you. Great captain, but you suck. Patrick Waugh, I fell in love with this guy. I wanted to be a goalie just like him, but you have to hate him. But he was my favorite goalie. And so he's at number 3 for the most hated Detroit. Number 2 is Sidney Crosby. I can't even explain. I mean, there's so many. I can't say. Go ahead, Skeeter.
I just so you know that the finals in 2009 against the Wings, Sidney Crosby had 2 goals and 2 assists, and the Penguins scored a total of 14 goals. So he was only involved in 4 of them. Maxime Talbot, on the other hand, was probably the biggest wing killer on that one, and Tyler Kennedy. So there was a couple, but he did not have the biggest impact on there.
I don't think.
No, hold on, Tmac. And who did you remember from that team, and who did you hate more?
I couldn't remember his name, but it was Maxime Talbot, because I remember him scoring 2 goals in a row on game 6, I believe it was, one shorthanded, I think, and 1 slap shot from the side that Oscar should have had, and it was annoying. So I couldn't remember his name, but yeah.
So if I asked you on a random day, you would say Maxime Talbot?
I would have had to think about it, but it was definitely it would have been Sidney Crosby first, just because him picking up that trophy in our building.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're not, with specific moments and stuff. Going back to that, like, yes, but it's just all the other stuff, and I think maybe Crosby gets more hate just across the league, especially in his younger playing days, than I guess directly impact on Detroit sports and our hatred for it. But I feel like Detroit's always hated the Penguins, especially when Sidney Crosby got over there, and then obviously, the cup. So it's a mixture of many of things with him.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to look up stats, I'll just pull up the entire statistics of everything he's ever done. But I don't want to do that. I just think, we should hate him. I mean, I think we do hate him as Detroiters. Number 1 is Rodgers. I don't even have to speak on that because I blew up when his picture came up earlier. So to me, Aaron Rodgers is by far the most hated for me. I still hate him. I hated him when he was in Green Bay. Can't stand him. Hated him as a Jet. I think he got Robert Saleh fired there. Like, that was insane. And yeah, I just hate Aaron Rodgers. So that's my list. We had some pretty similarities there at the top of the list. Towards the bottom, we kind of changed it up a little bit. But.
Talbot had 5 goals, 3 assists in the finals.
And you still don't hate him as much as you say you do. So I'm sure you did. But if I had to ask you on a random Thursday, without you looking at stats, you would say Sidney Crosby. And you can say you won't, but you will. I guarantee it.
I'm on this website, and I was literally going game by game, adding it up in my head. If I just scrolled down, it says their entire series stats right there. That was so stupid.
Now let me ask you both one final question.
1 goal, 2 assists, minus 3.
This
actually,
segment here. If that first image that popped up, Claude Lemieux, was added into this list, where would you slot him? Knowing what your list is right now, where would you slot him?
Number 1, without a question. There's no human being on planet Earth that I detested more for a longer period of time than Claude Lemieux, for what he did to Chris Draper, for what happened after. He could have killed him. He honestly could have killed Chris Draper.
You can't drive somebody into literally, I mean, it was the immovable object into something that didn't move.
And I think that the worst part about it was he got a 1-game suspension, which was unbelievable for almost killing a human being.
Yeah.
He then did not show any remorse.
Yeah.
And then, there's one thing that I give him credit for, and it's one thing completely, is that not the fight night that they had were at the Joe, but the next time, because he missed a game, blah, 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 what was the whole thing. But I think it was November of the year after the Wings won, him and McCarty took the opening face off, and McCarty's like, you're still getting what's coming to you. And he goes, all right, I'm ready for it. Like, he stood up to it like a man, and he took the fight. It was a fair fight. It was a good thing. So he knew he had it coming. even after the turtle, even after the chaos that happened with that one, he knew, he's like, I still have to answer for this, and let's just do this like men, let's stand up, whatever. And then, years later, they did a really famous interview. It's on YouTube, and they were together, and them sitting side by side to me was kind of like a reconciliation in my brain that was like, oh damn, these guys that tried to kill each other,
like Tupac and Biggie,
right? They're able to sit down and they talk about it with such reverence, and this hockey attitude about it was very it was very very good to see. It really was.
Yeah.
So but he was they made T-shirts, stickers. I
think for me he would be number 2. I can't. Rodgers, just because I think the year difference for me, since I've been like literally my extended period of life has been Aaron Rodgers just brutally, honestly, just, I'm not going to say it because you said it earlier, but just whooping my team's ass, and I felt it. He would be right there at number 2 above Sid the Kid.
For sure.
Penguins' most hated player.
That's why I was just curious on where you guys would have slotted him at. That's why I mean, obviously I intentionally left him off the list and put.
Should throw in Marc-Andre Fleury in that too, then, if we're going to talk about Pittsburgh. Because
I agree with that. We made Marc-Andre Fleury.
Marc-Andre Fleury was, I believe I'm correct in saying that he was the last goalie taken number 1 overall in the draft. And in the NHL, goalies aren't taken number 1. They're not. Before him was Rick DiPietro, and that was a horrible situation. But I mean, he was very good, and he won them that series as far as I'm concerned. That save on Lidstrom at the end of the game, the curse of Marian Hossa.
1-year deal.
He's with the Penguins. They lose to the Wings, and the title comes to us, loses to the Penguins. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming in. That was a top 10 most hated Detroit athletes that weren't playing for Detroit, but we hated them here in Detroit. Thank you for coming. Tmac,
Best way to put it.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate y'all. Till next time.
Love you.